This is Steve Anthony with another episode of The Deep Dive.
And this is Barbara Silver. You send us your work through Starseed Films and we review it on this show. Click like and subscribe and help lead everyone to this content so we can plant seeds of higher consciousness.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely well-informed.
You send us your work through Starseed Films and we review it on this show. Click like and subscribe and help lead everyone to this content so we can plant seeds of higher consciousness.
Today, we're diving into something really unique. A set of accounts that are, well, profound, but also pretty bewildering sometimes.
We're looking at the world of Carlos Castaneda and his time with the Yaqui sorcerer, Don Juan.
Exactly. And our mission really is to unpack the core ideas from these works, to try and understand the alternative views of reality he presents.
Right. It's about extracting insights on perception, knowledge, what reality even is, all through Castaneda's quite extraordinary experiences detailed in his collected works.
And it's important, I think, for you listening to remember we're exploring the ideas in the books. We're not necessarily endorsing them as fact, but trying to understand the perspective.
Precisely. It's about understanding the framework presented.
And it's quite a framework, a journey where, like, the normal stuff becomes strange and the things you thought were impossible seem, well, real in his telling.
It's a mix, isn't it? Personal story, deep philosophy, and these encounters with what Don Juan called the non-ordinary.
Okay, let's jump in. Castaneda's first meeting with Don Juan.
It sounded pretty simple on the surface, right? He was just a student looking for info on plants.
Yeah, medicinal plants, peyote specifically.
Yeah.
That was his stated goal as an anthropologist.
But Don Juan saw something else, almost right away.
It seems so. Don Juan had this uncanny way of seeing past the surface. He sensed Castaneda's deeper, maybe even unconscious quest.
So what was one of those first sort of foundational lessons?
Well, one really early one was about finding a specific spot on Don Juan's porch, a spot of power.
A spot of power. How did that work?
Castaneda basically had to feel different places on the porch. He had to sort of sense, I guess, unseen energies until he found the right one.
And how do you know it was right?
He apparently just instinctively chose it and then fell asleep right there on it. When he woke up, Don Juan basically said, "You found the spot."
So the lesson was about trusting intuition, sensing things beyond the obvious. Exactly. An introduction to sensing these subtle forces, maybe finding your own power spots in life, even if you don't consciously label them that way.
Right, like that chair you always gravitate towards or a certain place outdoors.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so finding a comfy spot is one thing, but then things got, well, a lot more intense, didn't they?
They definitely did, especially with the use of certain plants, hallucinogenic plants.
Mescalito, the spirit of peyote. Don Juan called him a teacher.
Yes, a teacher. Castaneda's initial experiences were, well, pretty rough. He described intense fear, panic, this strange melancholy afterwards.
That also heightened perception.
Absolutely. He talked about being able to see every object in the way or perceive outlines in pitch darkness with incredible clarity.
And Don Juan's reaction wasn't what you'd expect, like, oh, you were hallucinating.
Not at all. When Castaneda thought he saw a dog, Don Juan was almost indignant. God damn it, it was not a dog. Later she said, Mescalito actually played with you.
Played with him?
Yeah. The key point Don Juan made was that Mescalito was a teacher, specifically not a power source for personal gain. He even mentioned Mescalito's form might seem different to newcomers, but it's consistent for those who really know him, like a stable entity.
Okay, so presented as a genuine entity, a guide. But then there was the other one, the devil's weed, datura. That sounds much darker.
It was treated very differently, much more dangerous. Don Juan was incredibly meticulous in preparing it, often making a paste from seeds, even weevils associated with the plant.
And Castaneda took this. What was the reported effect?
He described the sensation of flying. Don Juan linked it directly, saying, A man flies with the help of the second portion of the devil's weed.
But there was a big warning attached, right?
A huge warning. Don Juan compared datura to a flattering, manipulative woman. He said, she sets traps for them at every turn. Her trap is to make you believe that hers is the only way. Blinds you with ambition.
So, power, but corrupting power. If you approach it wrong.
Exactly. Ambition was the danger. It wasn't for seeking knowledge in the same way Mescalito is presented. It was a bid for power and inherently treacherous.
A teacher versus a trap. That's a stark difference. But there was another ally, wasn't there? Something called the smoke.
Yes, the smoke. And Don Juan seemed to hold this one in a different kind of reverence altogether.
How did it compare?
He drew a clear line. The devil's weed is for those who bid for power. The smoke is for those who want to watch and see. Observation versus control.
Watching and seeing. So a different path.
A much longer, more rigorous one, apparently. Becoming acquainted with the smoke and its specific mixture was described as a lifelong process, very demanding.
And Castaneda's experience with it, what did he see?
It led to this incredible transformation. He reported feeling like he became a crow, feeling birds' legs, wings, seeing like a bird. Don Juan even told him, "You are already a crow."
He became a crow, literally.
In his perception, absolutely. Don Juan explained the crow's unique sight, being able to see millions of things moving inside the flesh with the light of their own. Seeing energy fields, basically.
Wow. And why a crow?
Safety, according to Don Juan. Who cares about a crow? A crow is safe. Its very commonness made it invisible to certain kinds of threats. A form of ultimate camouflage, you could say.
That's a really interesting take on invisibility. Not magic, but just being completely overlooked. Okay, these perceptual shifts are profound.
Yeah.
But some were also terrifying, weren't they? Like the Guardian?
Oh yes, the guardian of the other world. Castaneda described seeing what looked like a normal gnat, which then transformed into this gigantic, monstrous animal that hit him with like excruciating pain.
It's just a gnat.
Yeah.
Or something else.
Don Juan clarified it wasn't an ordinary gnat. It was a manifestation of this guardian entity, something that patrols the border between realities, let's say.
And Castaneda. He didn't run screaming and never look back.
Well, he was terrified, absolutely. But the fascinating part is, later, he deliberately sought it out again. His curiosity, his drive to understand, actually overrode the fear.
That seems key. Facing the fear, pushing forward.
It's central to the whole path Don Juan described, the path of the man of knowledge or the warrior.
Right, let's unpack that. What defines this warrior in Don Juan's terms? It's not about fighting, is it?
Not in the usual sense. A man of knowledge, Don Juan said, is one who has followed truthfully the hardships of learning, and part of that hardship is facing 4 natural enemies.
Enemies, like what?
Fear is the first one. Then clarity, the danger of thinking you understand everything too soon. Then power, the temptation we just discussed with datura. And finally, old age, the weariness, the giving up.
So you have to overcome these hurdles. How does a warrior live then?
By acting, not by thinking about acting, as Don Juan put it, and embracing something called controlled folly.
Controlled folly. What on earth is that?
It means acting fully, completely engaged, as if what you're doing truly matters, while knowing, deep down, that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't. It's about commitment without attachment, acting with purpose, but without the ego getting tangled up in the results.
That's a tough balance.
Yeah.
Act like it matters, no it doesn't. How do you even manage that? Did he offer any tools? You mentioned will earlier.
Yes, will is crucial, but not, well, like we usually think of it, not just mental determination.
How did you define it?
As a tangible force, the true link between men and the world. He even described it as a physical sensation coming from a spot near the navel.
Like an energy center.
Kind of. It's this cultivated inner power, this impeccable will that allows the warrior to act with intent, to connect with allies, and to navigate the folly of life effectively. It's the core engine for action.
Grounding will physically. That's different. Okay, this connects to his really big ideas about reality itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He talked about seeing versus just looking.
A fundamental distinction for him. Looking is ordinary perception. Seeing, in his terms, is perceiving the world directly as energy.
And what does that look like?
He said that when you see, people appear as luminous eggs, composed of fibers of light, especially important were long fibers coming from the navel area linked to balance and action.
Luminous eggs. Okay.
Okay.
This sounds like it leads into the tonal and the nagual.
Exactly. These are core concepts. Think of it like this. Don Juan used the metaphor of a bubble. We are inside a bubble. Our perception.
Our bubble of reality.
Right. And what we witness on its round walls is our own reflection. Everything inside that bubble, everything we know, can name, conceptualize that's the tonal, our organized world, our island.
And the nagual.
The nagual is everything else, the vast, unknown, indescribable reality outside the bubble, the source from which everything arises, where power hovers, as he put it.
So most of us just live inside the bubble, reflecting our own assumptions back at ourselves.
That's the idea. We live entirely within the tonal, mistaking its limits for the limits of reality itself.
So how do you pop the bubble?
Yeah.
Or at least peek outside? What's the teacher's role here?
Well, the teacher, according to Don Juan, works mostly inside the bubble. Their job is to reorder the elements of your tonal to shake up your ordinary view. Not destroy it, but make it more flexible, more aligned with reason, strangely enough.
Okay, rearranging the furniture inside the bubble.
Sort of, but then there's the benefactor. They work from outside the bubble, helping to actually create an opening, allowing a glimpse of the nagual of your totality.
And how does one even start that process? Is there a key technique?
Yes. The single most important technique, Don Juan stressed, is stopping the internal dialogue.
Stopping the inner chatter, the voice in your head.
Exactly. That constant stream of thoughts, judgments, labels. He claimed, very directly, if we stop telling ourselves that the world is so-and-so, the world will stop being so-and-so.
Wow, that's radical. The idea that our internal narration actually constructs the reality we experience.
It's a core premise. By silencing that narrative, you disrupt the process that maintains the bubble, potentially allowing direct perception seeing to emerge.
It makes you think about how much we filter constantly. Okay, Don Juan wasn't the only figure in this story. There was Don Genaro, too. He sounded quite different, mischievous.
Very much so. Don Genaro was Don Juan's friend and apparently another sorcerer of incredible ability. Castaneda describes him doing extraordinary things, like crossing a huge waterfall, not by walking or swimming, but by using those tentacle-like fibers of energy from his luminous body, the same ones Don Juan described.
Seriously. And what was this about, a double?
Yes, that's mind-bending. Don Juan told Castaneda that most of the time he hadn't actually been interacting with the original Genaro.
What is he with, then?
Genaro's double, which, according to Don Juan, is the sorcerer himself, developed through his dreaming. An energetic duplicate, cultivated through specific dreaming practices capable of independent action.
A dream body that can walk around. It really pushes the limit.
It certainly does. It challenges our whole notion of a single, fixed self.
And there were women, too. The Little Sisters. And Dona Soledad, she had a dramatic story.
She did. Doña Soledad apparently underwent a massive transformation. Castaneda first knew her as an old woman, but she used the nagual's teachings and what she called her particular wind, the north wind, to physically trim my body and remake it.
Remake her body.
Physically. That's the account. Demonstrating the power of these energetic practices to affect the physical form. She also apparently tried to finish off Castaneda at one point as a task from the nagual.
Whoa! Using what, a devilish floor?
Yes, some kind of trap in her room designed to bewitch him. It's intense stuff. And her final message to Castaneda was cryptic. The nagual had replaced Castaneda's body long ago, and you are himself now.
Implying some kind of deep, energetic merging.
Or succession, perhaps. It's ambiguous but powerful. And another figure, Lagorda, talked about losing her energetic edge after having children, but then regaining completeness through the teachings. These figures weren't just sidekicks. They were living examples of the possibilities and transformations within this path.
It all points to a need for incredible personal change and discipline, like a hunter's approach. You mentioned erasing personal history.
Yes, that was vital. Don Juan wasn't talking about forgetting the past, but about dismantling the story you tell about yourself.
I do that.
To create, as he put it, a fog around us. Nobody knows where the rabbit will pop out, not even you. It makes you unpredictable, fluid, less defined by past actions or others' expectations.
Freeing yourself from your own narrative. And that links to inaccessibility.
Exactly. Being deliberately available and unavailable. It's not about being rude or secretive, but managing your presence, your energy. Not letting yourself be pinned down or easily defined. Conserving energy, maintaining fluidity.
So be present, but don't let people lock you into a box. It all sounds incredibly demanding. And underpinning it all was the awareness of death.
Always. Death was the ultimate advisor for Don Juan. His advice was stark. Death is the only wise advisor that we have.
How so?
He said, whenever you feel overwhelmed, lost, like everything's going wrong, Turn to your death and ask if that is so.
And death's answer.
Your death will tell you that you're wrong, that nothing really matters outside its touch. It puts everything in perspective. It strips away the trivial.
So awareness of mortality isn't morbid, it's clarifying.
For the warrior, yes.
Yeah.
It transforms the world from mundane to an unfathomable mystery. It makes every moment precious, every act potentially your last, demanding impeccable action.
We've covered a huge amount today, from finding a spot on a porch to luminous eggs, doubles, erasing history. It's an entire alternate way of perceiving reality presented in these books.
It truly is a comprehensive, if often baffling, system. And the key takeaway, maybe, is that the journey itself is the point.
Right. Don Juan said there's no final crossroad.
Exactly. No final step to anything on the path of knowledge. He used Don Genaro as an example. Even Genaro was still on his way to Ixtlan, a mythical destination representing completion, perhaps, implying the process never truly ends.
It's a continuous journey of discovery, of questioning.
Learning, unlearning, perceiving anew, constantly.
Which leaves a really interesting thought for you, listening. Thinking about Anand's bubble of perception. How much of your own reality right now is truly fixed? How much is just the telling, the internal story that keeps your own bubble sealed? What might you start to see or perceive differently if you just pause that inner voice, even for a moment, and question the world you take for granted?